So we're just before lunch on day 2 of FETC. How are you enjoying the show?
I am very much enjoying.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Worth your while so far?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. Above
So,
and beyond.
yeah, so I'm with Alexis. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Alexis?
I am a former classroom teacher. I was heading into my 23rd year. I am now working as an education specialist with Old Dominion University, the Center for Educational Partnerships. So that's my new career now, working with teachers, implementing grant programs.
So you're in higher education.
Yes, yes.
So um, we were talking a little bit about what your concerns are in your schools, and I think more specifically your son's school.
Yes, yes. Well, my son is a senior now. So he's gone through all of his years, but just we were saying recently we had a teacher shooting in Virginia, and it was kind of a scare for a lot of us educators, worried about students, worried about teachers as well. So that's always a big concern for me in regards to my fellow teachers, but my son going to school on a daily basis as well.
Yeah. So the incident she's talking about was the 6-year-old that shot his kindergarten teacher, I believe, in the hand or something. It wasn't real serious, but it's not the seriousness. It was the event itself, and that concern there. And, that really brings in this thought about what is the potential, who are our potential bad guys, and how that concerns. And,
Right. And you never think it's going to be a 6-year-old.
You never think it's going to be a
Never,
6-year-old.
yeah.
We've talked about that case specifically right after it happened, and we talked about it several times since, because it's not only that it's never going to happen here, but it's never going to happen in an elementary school. It's never going to be a 6-year-old. There's never going to be this.
Right.
And I've personally done threat assessments on first graders and fourth graders. And I think when we start talking about prevention, we're talking about the first indicators, and developing a system of protocols that when we have concerning behaviors, even if they're not to the extent of, oh, this kid is a threat, that we start dealing with them as soon as we start finding out those issues. Right now, if I talk to most educators, and I say, when do you do a threat assessment? Generally speaking, they're going to say late middle school, high school age kids, right? And the reality is, when we're waiting for that to occur from a high school, middle school aged child, we're actually looking at the manifestation of years of whatever behavior, and that wasn't dealt with beforehand.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. We didn't notify, or we didn't connect all the dots. However you want to describe that, there's very few people who are involved in the shooting aspects that there wasn't some sort of concerning behavior. Most notably, the Parkland. That's what started all this big push towards threat assessments. But we have to start dealing with them as soon as, and then follow up with those and so forth. So at the higher education level, what are your concerns there? And
so I know that, I'm at Old Dominion University, and I know that they are working very hard to make sure that their students and their staff are safe.
Yeah.
But always, there is that concern.
Yeah.
Hearing about incidents that happen at other schools, of course, you're always worried about what's going to happen at your location,
right,
as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we're talking about higher education, we're talking about a unique population, right? The uniqueness of that population is they're grown adults, but none of us treat them like adults. Yeah. And they're still our babies. They're still, they're just going away to school, right? But and that brings up one of what I believe is the primary roles in K-12 education is we're not teaching our kids just to be safe at while they're in their K-12 career, but moving that along. And I will say that I have a little bit of experience with some of the schools and I say little, I mean little, uh, um, with some of the schools in Virginia. And Virginia generally does a pretty good job at trying to get their schools up to speed and stuff. Anything else you want to talk about before?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you
Of course.
for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah, yeah. I appreciate you joining us. This is fun. These are good for us.
Absolutely.
All righty. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your show. All right.